All right, good afternoon, and great to have you here on the Pulse on the Joy News channel. It's yet another day where we have to serve you with what we have on the table. Up next in the bulletin, Lands and Natural Resources Ministry deny using land guards to retrieve and protect state lands. Details of a damning revelation allegedly made by the Chief Director of the Lands Ministry before a parliamentary committee, which has triggered the minority demand for a probe.
Other shocking part of this revelation was that, according to the Chief Director, it is not only the ministry that contracts the services of this land guard, but also the Ghana Armed Forces and the services of this land guard.
We speak to a security analyst on this particular development. Stay with us for more. Also, coming up this afternoon, the dams were built to provide a source of water for irrigation during dry season. But just when we needed them most, they dry up.
Well, but not quite.
Dam always take us 2 months to dry up. Only 2 months. October, November. The water dry up.
We have a build-up to Thirsty Dam showing later today on the Joy News channel. Also here, exclusive with Professor Roger Opon Kranting, who is the head Public Sector Governance Commonwealth Secretariat, and we are discussing governance and corruption in Africa. Stay with us for all of these and more. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace, and it's an honor to serve you with this afternoon's edition of The Pulse. It was a major revelation allegedly made by the Chief Director of the Lands Ministry, Professor Patrick Agbesinyale, who is said to have told a parliamentary committee that the state has been engaging the services of notorious land guards to retrieve and protect state land. MP for Tamale North, Alhassan Suhuyini, has told journalists. Now, in return, these notorious land guards are paid with parcels of land. Alhassan Suhuyini, who is also the deputy ranking member on the Land and Forestry Committee, describes this arrangement as illegal and contrary to the Land Act and the Vigilantism and Related Offences Act. In a strict response, the Ministry of Land says it rather engaged the services of a private company to protect state lands and not land guards. More from the statement shortly. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante joins us with the details. He will be joining us shortly with all of those details from Parliament. But let's share with you the details of this statement. But before then, we have been engaging Alhassan Suhuyini on this matter.
When in our engagements with the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, the Chief Director revealed shockingly, that the ministry has resorted to engaging a land guard to retrieve and protect government lands. And mind you, these are lands that are held on behalf of the people of Ghana, vested in the president to protect it. And I'm sure that the framers of the Constitution are aware that the president is the commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces and is seized with the capacity to ensure that these lands are protected for our, communal use. And that is why the lands are vested in the president. And the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources is the ministry tasked with the responsibility of overseeing these lands. So for the ministry to tell us the lack of capacity of the state to protect these lands that are, put in trust, but to resort to, the services of people whose activities have been outlawed for the protection of these land came to us as a surprise. We have therefore demanded from the ministry the terms and conditions of that unholy relationship between the ministry and this land guard or his institution. Because clearly, we cannot pass laws that we do not intend to keep. And again, when we pass laws to sanitize any area or development in our country, we do not expect the state to be the first to break those laws.
That's Al-Hassan Suhuyini speaking to us there. Now, Kweku Asante joins us via Zoom now. Kweku, what is the nature of this allegation and so-called revelations made to the Lands and Forestry Committee of Parliament?
Right. So, Brace, you first heard him there talk about how the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry, as the ministry in charge of protecting state lands, being actually the one engaging so-called land guards, allegedly. They also actually go ahead to say that it is not actually just the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry, but also even the Ghana Police Service and the military also engage these land guards whenever they have any issues of such encroachment. Listen to him make that allegation in terms of what the Chief Director of the Lands Ministry is reported to have told his committee in Parliament.
The other shocking part of this revelation was that, according to the Chief Director, it is not only the ministry that contracts the services of this land guard, but also the Ghana Armed Forces and the police depend on the services of this land guard to protect lands that are under their care. And so if the Ghana Armed Forces and the police cannot protect their own lands and have to resort to the use of land guards, what is the faith of the common Ghanaian who wants to acquire land and is faced with the challenge of land guards? And what was again scandalous was the revelation by the Chief Director that this person that is engaged actually has a setup that the state cannot compete with. A setup that the state cannot compete with. According to the Chief Director, he has his own media that ensures that whatever he does, rightly or wrongly, is not exposed for public scrutiny. He has his own members of the judiciary, and so he gets away with whatever law he may have broken in the process of retrieving and protecting land. He has his own security that he deploys on these lands when he retrieves them. And at the end of the day, he comes to sit down with the ministry and he informs the ministry of the cost that he has incurred. And the ministry compensates him by dashing out, some parcels of land from the whole that he has helped to retrieve.
So on this, what is the demand of the minority?
So first, they want the details of this contract or this engagement between the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry and this so-called land guard. They want to be able to know why is it that the ministry, the police and the military are not resorting to state security apparatus, and why are they using a private firm to be doing all this. So they want all those details to be laid out clearly. And then secondly, they've also filed urgent questions in the House to drag the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abu-Jinapor, to come and answer questions, to come and explain the circumstances under which this so-called land guard was offered this opportunity to be the one protecting state lands and to be the one that is actually ensuring that state lands are not encroached. So they are doing this two-pronged attack in terms of what they are able to get. First, demanding that these details be brought to Parliament, and secondly, filing urgent questions.
All right, grateful to you, Kweku. Now, we have a statement from the ministry on from their response to these allegations. Let's share with you the details of the statement now. It says, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, by this press release, refutes the allegations made by the Daily Post newspaper and the Ghana Web Online News platform on the 17th day of July 2023 on a purported statement made by the Chief Director of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, captioned, quote, Chief Director at the Lands Ministry reviews Ministry of Lands, Military and Police have been contracting land guards, unquote, and, quote, government engages services of land guards, Chief Director of Lands Ministry, unquote, respectively. Now, the ministry would like to set the record straight that government, and for that matter, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, does not contract the services of land guards in its operations. However, the ministry, through its agency, Lands Commission, legally engaged the services of INOC Holding Limited, a registered limited liability company, to assist in reclaiming encroached government lands. This engagement has been in effect since 2012. We wish to categorically state that government, and by extension the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, employs legal processes to reclaim all encroached state lands. So that's the response the ministry is given, that contrary to what we are hearing, that the ministry, the police and the military, by extension government, engages the services of land guards, is not accurate. What is accurate is that the government, through the Lands Commission, engaged the services of a company called INOC Holdings Limited. It's a legally registered entity in Ghana, to reclaim encroached government lands. And that is what they do. That is the fact of the matter. So this is what the government is saying, that what the minority is telling us and what we are hearing is not accurate. The government has been contracting the services of land guards. What they say is that, in fact, it's true that government secures the services of a company to reclaim government land, but it is not as though they are contracting the services of land guards. We'll delve deeper into this particular story by exploring the angle with security experts to understand what they do make of this, vis-a-vis what the Land Act says, as well as the Vigilantism Act also says. But once the ministry is saying we are not engaging land guards, then it becomes an issue where, is it okay for a security setup like the police and the military to be engaging the services of, a separate entity to reclaim their lands? Once they are security institutions, why are they not able to proceed on that leg? But we understand that the contract is not directly between the police and the military, but rather between the Lands Commission and the INOC Holdings Limited. Adib Sani is a security analyst, and he joins us via phone now. Grateful to you for joining us here. Now, how do you react to these allegations and the response from the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources?
Well, I was a bit taken aback by the allegations, because if we now have a law that criminalizes land guardism, knowing the effects it can have, on our democracy, on the issue of law, etc. And it is shocking that none other than a state institution would engage the services of land guards to provide security, or as they put it, to reclaim lands. However, the ministry did categorically state that it was their agency, the Lands Commission, that engaged a limited liability company. But you see, my fear is the land guards clothing themselves with a limited liability company when their modus operandi, the way they do things, is very consistent with other land guards who might not have a limited liability company. And I would have also, at the same time, thought that as a state institution, it is the police, the military, we have active security agencies that could help government, or help the agency reclaim government lands. I mean, I do understand that there are ministries, departments, and agencies who acquire the services of private security firms, even at their premises. But for an exercise as sensitive as reclaiming land, for you to use a limited liability company is something that is neither here nor there. I am tempted not to trust the ministry much, especially with that the statement in mind. Because the thing is, issues of land is quite precarious. It's dicey. You get there, and there are land guards who are armed to the teeth, and sometimes they exchange fire even with security services. So for you to engage the limited liability company, that is not supposed to wield arms per the Arms and Ammunition Act 1972 NRCB 9. They are not supposed, no civilian is supposed to brandish a weapon without the tacit approval of the IGP. So it makes me wonder in what form do they go and what exactly their role is when the police could have provided a much more effective role. So there's a lot to this that I think should be investigated, and the statement should not be taken in hook, line, and sinker. There should be a conscious attempt to conduct an investigation into this matter so we get to know the full facts of the matter.
But are we not creating the impression that every land guard probably works with this company when that may not be the issue?
Absolutely, because what happens is I can conveniently organize land guards to protect my plot or to engage in other services. Then when the police comes, I say, oh, they are staff of the security. As simple as that. It's so convenient. No, I think there's a need for investigation into this matter. But it doesn't just make sense. A state institution like the Lands Commission would engage the services of a limited liability company that might not have the muzzle, the fire. A state institution like the Lands Commission would engage the services of a limited liability company that might not have the muzzle, the fire.
And say, okay, let's screen for COVID. We screen for COVID, we treat, and then you're fine. Otherwise, people stay and like, oh, there's no more COVID. They have symptoms, they won't report, and then things start getting worse, and then we are back to square one where we came from. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But what about the things that as a country we were doing? You know, during that time, even at the port of entry, it wasn't easy for you to come through. You need to go through other things before.
Yeah.
But those things have been relaxed a bit, isn't it?
Yes, they have been. And you see, those things that we put in place were very stringent measures because we were in a phase of a pandemic. I mean, the acute phase of it, where the numbers were high, infection rates was high, mortalities were high, there were strict restrictions to travel and things like that. And with the vaccination campaigns, I mean, all over the world, we've been able to get high levels of people, numbers of people vaccinated, and that has brought the numbers down. And you know, the restrictions bring economic, fiscal, and social issues. Yeah. And we all didn't like that, you know, so we are very happy that with the vaccinations, we've been able to bring down the severity of the disease, the number of people getting new infections and all that. So yes, things would need to be relaxed a bit so that life to a large extent can go on whilst people still get vaccinated, make sure they prevent from getting the infections. And then we are able to do it. So that's why we are here. That the fact that we are saying it's no more a fake doesn't mean that it's not there. Okay. So people shouldn't say, I'm not getting vaccinated. I mean, diseases as old as yellow fever and measles, we vaccinate our children against those. In some countries, you cannot get into the country without a yellow fever vaccination. But that disease is, how old is yellow fever compared to, you know, COVID-19? So the fact that it's no longer a fake doesn't mean that the disease doesn't exist. And we need to beef up the vaccinations so that we can still have our lives, at least some very good economic, value for our lives, social value, and that sort of thing. So, yeah.
So in terms of vaccinations, we had a target in the last time we embarked on this exercise.
Yes.
How many were we able to do this time around? How many are we targeting?
Right. So currently, Greater Accra was one of the biggest hits.
Yeah.
So the population of Greater Accra is about something a little over 5.6 million. We've been able to do our target really was to do 58% of the eligible population.
Okay.
And currently, we are hovering something around 51 for people who have received double dose.
Okay.
So we need
7%.
We need more. People who have actually received one dose is the 51 year.
Okay.
51% is the double dose, and about 68% have received one dose.
Okay.
So we have more people who received one dose, but they haven't completed their series, because you need you need 2 doses to complete a series, even though the Janssen gives you 1. But we need more people to complete their series. So we are going out there to make sure we bridge the gap between 1-dose persons and double-dose persons, and also even get some people to take their boosters. Yes.
So do we also know the number of people who have also taken the boosters?
Currently, I know that I think the first booster doses, we have just about 25% who've taken a first booster.
But do you also have a target for that?
Yes, we would need as high as if we get the 58% eligible taking the boosters. Because if we have a 58% target, we'll be happy to have a 58% of that same number taking the boosters. Then we know that we have a very well-protected population, because, why not? You need the boosters to make sure that, your protection is still top-notch, So we won't give it a lower target to the previous 58% eligibility that we wanted to do.
And when this whole thing started, we're hearing about herd immunity. Does our 58% give us that herd immunity we're looking for?
Yes, that's why we've targeted it that way.
But 58 out of 100, we have around, is it 32?
32, yes.
To then cover the whole population.
Yes.
Is that enough, 58, for us to have herd
But you
immunity?
see, the 58% here, let me clarify, because that 58% you're talking about is people between 15 years of age and above. That is why that 58%. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So we have an eligible population of 58% because we have in the population about 15 people between 15 to and above that age. But out of that 58%, we would definitely want something a 60 and above, or even a 65. Some countries even push this herd immunity thing to about 70%. So the higher the percentage coverage, the better. So out of that 58% eligible, we would like to vaccinate, fully and protect. Once we get about 60% fully vaccinated with boosters and that sort of thing, then we know that we're talking about getting closer to herd immunity, and then we can protect each other.
When this thing started, there were these, do I call it myth or misconceptions about the vaccines, and that even resulted in some people not opting to go for the vaccines.
Right.
With time, have we been able to overcome that, or that's also still playing a role in the numbers of people receiving the vaccines?
It's I can tell you that it's still playing a very big role. And I will take opportunity to say that the Ghana Health Service has done so much work, especially when it comes to social and behavioral change communication. We've tried to use various modalities to get to people. Now we go to people's homes, house to house, and spend minutes, sometimes hours, talking to one person so that you can get... those days of doing mass education, standing on the podium and talking to people, and then you get people flocking in, have gone, because most of the people who actually believe in it have come for the vaccine. Now we have a certain small number of people who are still very hesitant, and we can understand, and it's our job to bring the information to them so that they can make informed choices to protect all of us. So we are still on it. I mean, I wouldn't mind. I can sit here for 1 hour and talk to you and try to convince you to take it. I know you've taken your vaccine, haven't you?
so still the vaccine hesitancy is there. But in fact, COVID brought us some terms. Vaccine hesitancy is still there.
Yes, it's there. I mean,
so what do we do, or what can we do to then change, people from resisting or hesitating to go for the jobs?
Resistance to anything is a part of human life. So, I mean, when you're planning in health, you should plan and know that there are people who would resist. But our work as healthcare work, I think that it starts with providing the right information and having the right attitude towards those who, for some reason, are not comfortable and do not understand. And that is why we have a very robust social and behavioral change communication department and division of the Ghana Health Service that does that work. It is their core mandate and my mandate, everybody else's mandate in the Ghana Health Service, to make sure that we tell people what the facts are, give them what the data is saying, show them the value of protecting yourself through things like vaccination and things like that. And we have done that, and we've gotten the numbers we have got. I will tell you that we didn't start out with 70% of our population being receptive to taking the vaccine. But a lot of the work that we've done on vaccine hesitancy and changing people's perceptions and things like that have yielded some fruit. So, and we'll continue to do it.
So this exercise, have you started it already?
It starts on Wednesday, 19th to 23rd.
And what's the arrangement like?
So currently we have the eligible population for this particular campaign are people between 18 and above. 18 and above. We currently have the Janssen vaccine, what we call J&J, the one-shot one, that used to be like the favorite for many people.
Yeah, because for jobs, you want to get one.
Just one shot. Yeah, that's what we have now.
Okay.
And that is for people 18 and above. We cannot give that to the 15 years and below. And we cannot give that to the pregnant women as well. So this current campaign is looking at 18 years and above, non-pregnant women, and not doesn't include people who are 15 years or younger. In NACVAC 8, that's the National COVID-19 Vaccination Days. The 8th one, hopefully, would get some Pfizer as well and bring that so that we can cover those that are younger.
But if it's 18. One job, then you're looking at, new people altogether, isn't it? People who have not taken their vaccines at all.
Even better, but we can give that one jab as a booster to someone.
Really?
Yes. So say you have taken, what do you call it, AstraZeneca, which is the 2 shots. You can, in this particular campaign, take the J&J vaccine as a booster.
Okay.
Yes.
It won't cause any problem?
No, it won't cause any problems at all.
What about people who have not taken it at all?
So that would be your first experience to the vaccine. And then after 4 weeks, you can, or 3 months, you can take your booster.
But you said this is the single dose, isn't it?
Yes, it's a single dose.
I thought the single dose is the one when you take it.
Yes, so the single dose, what it does is that it gives you it gives that impression of the full series when you compare it to AstraZeneca. Because with Astra, you have to take two shots for a full vaccination. But with J&J, you take one and you're fully vaccinated. So you get exposed to the shot again, and it's a booster.
Okay.
You get it. It's not because you are coming in to complete the series.
So if I've taken J&J in the past, if I take this one, that's my booster?
That's your booster.
Okay.
That's your booster. You can take it as a booster. Yes.
When are we going to stop taking boosters? Or from time to time we have to take boosters?
Again, it will depend on how the virus behaves and the new data that we get. Immunology, they would have to look at how the body is responding to these vaccines and then see how the antibodies remain. And then they would advise, Noguchi does that. I know other countries are also working on those things to advise how many boosters, if any, would Because I know there are people in Ghana who actually want third boosters and things like that.
Okay, all right. I guess this is a nationwide campaign, right?
Yes, it is.
Nationwide.
It is.
Okay. And the numbers we're looking at?
Well, I can speak specifically for Greater Accra.
Okay.
Yes, but I mean, every region
has
its targets, and they are doing that as well. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for coming.
You for having
I hope
me.
that from time to time we can do this so that people will be educated on this.
The pleasure would be mine. Always ready to educate.
Okay.
And sensitize. So anytime.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much. So that's Dr. Louisa Ademki Mate.
Yes, please.
That I've gotten it right.
You've gotten it right.
Okay. She is the Municipal Director of Health for Ayawaso West Municipality. This is the Pulse on the Joy News channel. We'll take a quick break. But you know what? We spent money to construct some dams up north. It was christened One Village, One Dam project. But we built the dams, but when it came to the point where we needed the water, the dams dried up. We have that up coming up next year.
Daddy, this tank is big.
Yes, that's true.
It can store a lot of water.
That's so true.
Wow, it has a working tortoise on it.
That's so true.
I can see SINTEX. Syntax.
That is so true, my daughter.
When it falls down, it will spoil.
That's not true.
But why?
Hey! Syntex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Syntex again was the first to introduce white inner layers in Ghana. Syntex gives you the biggest warranty, 7 years. No matter your water needs, Syntex is the answer. Syntex tank. Are you strong? Are you tough?
Hi, now let me share my wildlife experience with you at Safari Valley Eco Park.
Welcome to Safari Valley Eco Park.
Our electric shuttle pulled up and in no time our tour began. We were surrounded by wildlife from the moment we entered the Eco Park. We were greeted by experienced tour guides who took us through orientation and how to better enjoy the experience. Watch these animals roam freely in their natural habitat undisturbed by our presence. We saw zebras, sable antelope, brown cranes, mara, silky chicken, nyalas, Shetland ponies, and so many animals I just couldn't keep up. Our tour guides taught us so much about the wildlife, their behavior, and how to interact with them. I even fed them. We also went fishing on a man-made canal. Then we took a break to have lunch in this serene environment. All this amazing experience for this price for adults, this price for teenagers. It's a bargain. As the sun began to set, it was time to go back home, but not before dinner by the campfire. It has been a thrill of a lifetime, and I can't wait till my next visit.
Safari Valley Eco Park, bringing you closer to nature.
With the EcoBank salary account, bro. See, with the EcoBank salary account, you will enjoy free life insurance, free debit card, save while you spend, and an amazing chance to double your salary. And even more consolation rewards in the EcoBank double salary promo reloaded.
Guy, this EcoBank salary account sounds interesting. What do you think?
Yara, but maybe next time. Charlie, you know what? I'll go shine my shoe.
Yo, myself, I'll go check my BP.
We going up, never go down, and we stay fly.
Chairman, see the white sign it here.
Open an EcoBank salary account today for a lifetime of benefits. You also stand a chance to win more than double your salary in the EcoBank Double Salary Promo Reloaded from now till July 31st. Terms and conditions apply.
And chop life regardless.
This promo is under the supervision of the National Lottery Authority under the Caritas Lottery platform.
Under the distinguished patronage of His Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, Ghana National College celebrates its 75th Speech and Prize Giving Day under the theme 75 Years of Holistic Education, Nurturing Leaders for the 21st Century. Date, July 22nd, 2023. Time, 8 a.m. Venue, Ghana National College, Cape Coast. The celebration will be climaxed with other landmark events as follows. July 16th, Regional Church Service. July 19th, Inter-House Debate. July 20th, Nananum Inspire followed by a sit-down. July 21st, Football Gala, AGM, Flag-raising ceremony and more. July 22nd, Speech and Prize Giving Day, Fundraising Dinner Dance. July 23rd, Thanksgiving Service, swearing in new executives, Omuto Fufu Gathering, Pool Party. Nananum Enyansafo.
Welcome back from the break. Now, resident of Ayopia in the Bongo district in the Upper East region, where President Akufo-Addo first cut sword for the One Village, One Dam project, say the dam dries up shortly after Christmas. They still value the project and are requesting the government to bring contractors back to the site to do a better job. Jojo Kobna brings you a set of Joy News' hotline documentary titled Thirsty Dams.
Water to the northerner is like blood. When we have water, we can do a lot of things for ourselves.
And without it, unemployment, poverty, and famine. To escape, many young people travel down south for supposed greener pastures. The NPP government provided a solution. One village, one dam.
The then candidates and then the running mates visited a chief in one of these villages and met the women digging the ground with their bare hands for water. So when they saw that, they said, well, when we come to power, we will provide you with water that can be better than what you are using your bare hands to construct. And that is how come the promise of one village, one dam.
I'm saying every village, one dam. One village, one dam. You know?
The policy appealed to the people in the northern regions.
The government came here and told us that they will be giving us dam. And our people assured them that if they give them dam, they also let them laugh. And really, you can ask our assemblyman and even ask the NPP people what this community did for them. They voted massively for them.
It was a political promise that won the hearts and minds of the people. The dams should make it possible for farmers to farm all year round and break the cycle of waiting for the rains before cultivation. It was the reason why the people of Bongo sang and danced till they became drenched in sweat. When the president cut salt for the implementation of the project.
We have begun the One Village, One Dam initiative, and you here in Bongo can see for yourself that we have begun the initiative. It is our intention that Bongo alone will get 10 dams this year. 570 are being built. You heard the minister across the 3 northern regions, and Bongo constituency alone is going to get 10 out of that 570.
This campaign promise has been fulfilled. Well, but not quite.
Dam always take us 2 months to dry up. Only 2 months. October, November, the water dry up. November like this, you see our pepper farm, you will like it. But where? No water again.
My name is Jojo Kobinan. It has been 5 years since the dams were constructed. My job here is simple. Find out how the dams are serving the people as it should and what concerns the people have. I hope governments will use the findings in this documentary to improve the current state of the dams.
So Thirsty Dams airs at 8:30 p.m. on the Joy News channel tonight. Right now, we'll try and bring in some reactions to this because water is very critical to the farmer's business. And so without water, it makes the business quite difficult. I mean, you cannot grow without water. Farmers indeed need water. And that's why this project was a critical one. But some studies have also found that the right people were not engaged in doing this particular, construction of dams. Some work that some people have done have realized that there were even overpayment of contractors who did this sort of work, and many work is needed to bring back these dams, to full life. Like we told you from this community, after Christmas, their dam dries up, and that's where we enter into the dry season, and they will need water for their farming business. So if they are not getting water, it becomes, another problem. But we'll be engaging the Peasant Farmers Association on this. Dr. Charles Nyaba is the executive director of the association, and he joins us via Zoom now. Doc, I'm grateful to you for joining us. First, your viewpoint on this, that some dams were constructed, but the people are saying that after Christmas, then they all dry up.
Yeah, thank you so much, and good afternoon to yourself and the viewers. Yeah, that is true. I think most of us were disappointed after we had so much expectation for the dams when the news broke up that we were going to get dam in every village of our operational areas. In 2016, when the NPP government, through their manifesto, came up with the concept, we all supported that. I think some of us campaigned strongly that it was a solution to age-long problem that we've all been yearning for. These days, because of climate change, when you go to northern part of the country, we get maximum rainfall for 3 to 4 months. By October, when crops are ready for harvest, in most occasions, the rains doesn't come at all. So you realize that the youth, especially the young people and the women, run and come to southern Ghana to do kayeye. So when that idea came, we thought that, okay, now we have a solution, we'll be able to do all year round farming. So when the construction actually started, we followed, there were some occasions, you even go to the communities and their volunteer, their labor and other things to support the construction to work. We monitored to one of the communities, and according to them, when the contractor came and then he was working, and then he started packing out, they thought that he was going to come back. And later on, they were told that that was the complete dam that was constructed. So actually, when we did a monitoring to most of the dams, more than 60% of the dams at the time were not able to hold any water. When the rain stopped in October, by December, you go there, you don't see any water. As we speak, some of the dam floors have been used to plant rice and other vegetables because they've not contained any water. So after the monitoring, we did engage the ministry. They did agree of some of the floors, and they promised that they were going to do reconstruction. Since then until date, per our follow-up, nothing has been done on the dam. So those dams are actually waste of the taxpayer money. There's no value for money, and their usefulness for which they were being implemented has not been fulfilled.
How is that affecting, the farming business up north?
Yeah, it will affect a lot because these days, if you check most of our markets, the vegetables that we get is from through dry season farming. We used to also get some from Burkina Faso to complement. But for 2023, Burkina Faso closed most of their borders because of the Boko Haram insurgents. So because of that, today when you go to the market now, you buy one fruit of tomatoes for 10 cedis. It is because our farmers fail to produce more tomatoes in the dry season, and also the Burkina borders have been closed for vegetable production. So if something different is not done to address the issue, actually, price of vegetables will go very high. Usually, most farmers during the dry season rely on boreholes. Others go to riverside to use a pumping machine to pump the water to do the farming. But when they started constructing the one village, one dam, some of the dams were constructed in waterways that previously the farmers were using to water their plants. All those channels have been blocked. They closed their boreholes, they closed their wells, they closed the riverside that they used to go to farm, and then they were expecting to use this. So now it's not working. So this is actually going to affect the supply of tomatoes and other vegetables in the urban areas a lot.
Interesting. So the only way out is for reconstruction of these dams, right?
Yeah, so what we need to do is that some of the dams actually, if you look at the dam wall, they were not properly constructed. Some of them to the reservoirs were so shallow, they are not able to contain the water. Some of them were not actually even constructed in a place that can be used for irrigation. You go to some places, then you see a dam between houses. So even if there's water, there's no land for farming activities. So we propose that those dams that can be reconstructed and there are farmlands for the water to be used, they should go back and reconstruct those dams.
Okay.
Those that we have weak dam walls and those that we have a shallow reservoirs, they need to go back and then deepen the reservoir to be able to contain water. If they do that, for the concept itself, I'll say it many times, the concept itself is good. Our major problem is how it was implemented.
All right, Dr. Nyaba, I'm grateful to you for joining us here on The Pulse. He is the president of the Peasant Farmers Association. We'll take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll talk about Ghana's first president. He's loved by many for his role in Ghana's independence struggle, setting the country on an industrialization path and championing the Pan-African agenda. But how much more do you know about him, and how much do you remember of our first president? We have more on him after the break. And also, we're speaking to someone who is being championing good governance and the fight against corruption in the Commonwealth nations, So stay with us. We have some incredible conversations coming up next year. We'll be back.
Smile, Look lively, okay? Smile, smile. Is the money too small?
A bad stomach ruins your day. Don't let it. Take Gastron, your most effective antacid, for the relief of symptoms of peptic ulcer, heartburn, gas pain, flatulence, and indigestion.
Hey guys, what are you waiting for? Let's go, let's go.
Mwah. Can you bring down the smile small?
Gastron, effective relief from stomach discomfort. Manufactured and distributed by NS Chemist Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Score
HD, the new exciting football channel, is now available only on HD Plus and brings you football from around the world. Watch Sadio Mane and Daniel Kufitre in the top weekly match of the Bundesliga 1 and DFB Cup, Primera Liga, Copa de la Liga Profesional, see Ronaldo in the Saudi Pro League, as well as daily sports news every other hour. Also, get updated on Messi and Mbappe on PSG TV and many more. Feely on HD Plus channel 151. Agronaede HD Plus, the Feely experience.
Despite swearing never to return to the International Monetary Fund after the 16th program for a bailout, Ghana went back to the fund for a 17th program. The effects, a painful debt restructuring and aggressive tax reforms, have brought untold hardship to businesses and consumers. This edition of the Joy Business Thought Leadership Series will seek to examine the impact of Ghana's 17th IMF program and government's policy initiatives to revive the economy in the mid-year budget review. Speakers: Professor Godfred Bokwin, economist and professor of finance at the University of Ghana Business School; Dr. Humphrey Ayindake, President AGI; Joseph Obin, President Guta; Mark Bedu Amwaji, CEO GNCCI; Yao Apialate, Partner, Financial Advisory, Deloitte Ghana; Edward Caraway, General Secretary, General Agricultural Workers Union; and Noong Falong, CEO of Etheria. Date 18th July 2023. Time 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. The program will be live on the Joy News channel and Joy FM and all Joy Business social media handles. The Joy Thought Leadership Series is powered by Joy Business with support from Joy FM and Joy News.
We've had news file over the weekend, and an interesting part of the conversation focused.
Oh no, we are out of range.
Oh, don't worry, Daddy. I have Alexa in my bag.
Alex, what?
Alexa, open Multimedia Ghana and play Joy FM.
Super Hits Radio, Joy 99.7.
Listen to Joy FM, Hits FM, Love FM, live on your Amazon Echo. Listen to your favorite multimedia radio stations live on your Amazon Echo device by saying, Alexa, open Multimedia Ghana, play Joy FM or Hits FM or Love FM. Or catch up on your favorite podcast by saying, Alexa, play, and then the name of your favorite podcast from Multimedia Ghana. For a list of all podcasts available, say Alexa. Ask Multimedia Ghana to browse programs.
And we are back like we never lost signal.
Alexa, welcome to Multimedia.
For crystal clear and thrilling podcasts and live shows, download and listen to us on Apple, Spotify, TuneIn, Google Podcasts, MyJoy Online, Amazon services like Echo, Amazon Music, and Audible, Stitcher, Adom Online, Overcast, and Pandora. Take note of everything. Sign up for the multimedia digital platforms now to stay updated.
Welcome back from the break. Now, good governance and transparency has become more urgent due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the war in Ukraine, challenges of climate change, and the security situation in the Sahel. According to the African Development Bank, good governance should be built on a foundation of effective state, mobilized civil societies, and an efficient private sector. The key element of good governance then are accountability, transparency, combating corruption, citizen participation, and an enabling legal judicial framework. Many African countries have undertaken institutional reforms that have significantly changed their governance architectures and put in place a new set of leaders. But how have these reforms led to African countries achieving the goals for which these reforms were enacted? How do we build a continent of examples of good governance and less corruption? We're joined by Head, Public Sector Governance, Commonwealth Secretariat, London, UK, for a chat on this. But first, let me share with you the performance of African countries in good governance. Continent of examples of good governance and less corruption. We're joined by Head, Public Sector Governance, Commonwealth Secretariat, London, UK, for a chat on this. But first, let me share with you the performance of African countries in good governance. Okay, so we've been joined here in studio by Professor Roger Opong Koranting. He is the Head, Public Sector Governance, in studio by Professor Roger Opong Koranting. He is the Head, Public Sector Governance,